Mic check, mic check. Can everybody hear me okay? Cool. Prax, welcome in, welcome in. Matt, welcome in. Yeah, he said strum the guitar for you in the background, huh? Hidden talents, nobody knew I could play. Rick, welcome in. Alex, what up? Connor, hello. John, thanks for that confirmation. We've got a lot of nice setups for this week. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Hello to everybody and welcome in. We have a full solid week of trading ahead of us. A lot of great setups, a lot of great potential out there. For those of you that are new to the streams, here's the deal. I break down my top stock picks for tomorrow, and I'm going to mention some setups that have potential for this upcoming week. So I go over my setups, I go over my full plan, and you just sit here and take notes and pay attention. One thing to note, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Everything that I mention here is truly and honestly what I intend to trade tomorrow. So if you follow me on any social media platform, you know that I do my breakdowns on trades. You know that I break down the alerts that go out in the server, and I break down the watch list results, and I break down some members' profits. This is where all of that kind of comes from. Literally, this is going to be my whole entire plan. I'm going to put everything out there for you. So pay attention, right? Take notes. Watch it twice if you have to. If you're ready to get started, press the like button for me. Show me some love. Let's get right into it. The first one on the main chart watch list is going to be Twitter. Without a doubt, this had to make the watch list. I've been putting this chart out there for so long. I'm hoping that we finally get some follow through with this play. This is a gap play. So if you don't know what a gap is, it's a disconnect on the daily chart time frame between one candle and another, right? Causing a large gap. I just highlight it with the shaded box. You don't have to do that, but that's what I do. So this gap has actually been partially filled, mainly due to the price action at the later last week, and it pushed up to like 59.3 or so for a partial gap fill. There was news that came out on Twitter about the subscription service that they're offering, and that was kind of like a little bit of the catalyst for it to push back up into this gap area. But I mean, overall, this chart looks really healthy, right? Kind of extended here off the 200 EMA, but a nice pullback, big earnings drop right there. But it is holding over the 200 EMA on the daily, which is still considered to be bullish, and we have a little bit of an uptrend here. So what this gap area does for us is it basically gives us room for this stock to run with very little to no resistance overhead. So theoretically, this gap can the stock can run from 59 or 60 all the way up to 64 with not much there to stop it. It is totally possible, but for something like Twitter that doesn't make that type of move very often, I feel that that's a bit unrealistic. So if we're looking for a gap fill play here, I think it's going to take place probably over the course of this week and not necessarily something that happens all in one day. Of course, it could happen in one day, but we have to set realistic price targets in mind. So what I'm looking for is a continuation play over the high of day here. So I'm going to flip to the 5-minute chart time frame. That's going to put us right at about 59.3. And I would look to take it long literally right over that price point. If this winds up opening up any higher than 59.3, whatever that pre-market price action winds up being, or whatever that pre-market high winds up being, that's going to be my new trigger level for the morning. So make sure that you're not just writing down these levels and taking the position based off these levels for tomorrow. You have to always adjust and account for the pre-market price action. So if this winds up opening up like down here at 57, well, obviously we're not anywhere near filling the gap or pushing up any higher, so it's going to void the play. right? And in that case, if that is the scenario, I just take it off the watch list, right? Leave that alert set. It'll probably be useful later on. But if it opens up super low, even down here at 58, it's kind of unlikely that we would get a continuation play into the gap area to fill the gap. So as it stands right now, my trigger level set at 59.3, looking to take a long position right over that for the push up into this gap area. How would I know where to take profits? Well, a 2% move is generally a pretty good move for the stock. So that'd be right at around 60.5 or 60.6 or so. That's just one profit taking strategy that you can utilize. Set a target, 2% or 3% or whatever it is that you feel comfortable with, and take your profits when it's offered. All right, so Twitter, first one on the watch list, looking for a gap fill continuation play over this 50 EMA. Long idea over 59.3 as of now. The second one on the watch list for tomorrow is Airbnb, ABNB. Not a whole lot of data here on the daily chart to go off of. So what we do have though is a bounce off of or pretty close to the lows right here. So there's your downtrend into the earnings report. Not a lot of price action following the earnings report, but then a break over this downward trend line, and it started to move back up. What I see here is two things. Number one, this is forming a range. So a range is different from consolidation. A range is something that has a very clear defined support area as well as a clearly defined resistance area, and it needs to be usually 3 candles is good enough for a range. Obviously the longer that a stock trades within the range, the stronger that breakout will be, and who knows, this doesn't even have to break this range going into tomorrow. But I see a very clear resistance here at 152 with room for this to run back up to the 50 EMA at around 157. So profit margin wise, we're looking at 3.4% or so, which is very possible for Airbnb to make that type of move in one day. General support's going to be around $144, so that automatically would be my trigger levels, right? If I'm looking for a break of this range, obviously I'm looking for either a break of the resistance here at 152 or the support at 144. Now I know that that's far off from where we're currently trading at, but I'm a long bias trader. I know exactly what type of setups that I'm looking for. I'd say probably 80% of the time analyzing for breakout setups, and with this trading right at this resistance point, I think that this offers great potential to break out. So long idea over 152 for the run up to about 150, 155 or 156, maybe even 157 area. Certainly has the potential to make that type of move. All right, number 3 on the main chart watch list will be NIO, N-I-O. We've tried to trade this one quite a few times on this run up, and we've done so successfully a couple of times. But NIO likes to do this thing. I'm going to flip to the 5-minute chart. NIO likes to do this thing where it trades choppy at times. So you have to remain patient for the directional moves. They'll happen. You just have to keep an eye on this chop and try not to be faked out by it. So what I see on NIO, I'm going back to the daily chart time frame here, is I'm taking into account, first of all of this data, right? All of this data. I'm trying to analyze what is going on here and where is the next direction from an overall standpoint. So clearly it was in this massive uptrend, a big uptrend to the top side, and then the pullback, finding support around $34 or so, $30 to $34. One of the first stages to a trend break, which most recently the trend was down, one of the first stages to a trend break is a period of consolidation. So what we see is that on this way down, on the move down, NIO is making lower highs. So here's your peak, right? And then lower high, lower high, lower high, until we get to where we're currently trading at, where it's not necessarily, it is kind of still a lower high technically speaking, but this also maybe has potential to make a higher high, which would mean that we are breaking or could be breaking this whole entire consolidation area, which would mean that we are no longer downtrending and could be back uptrending. Could be, right? I'm not saying to buy this long term or hold on to it or anything. This is all just something that I'm analyzing for tomorrow. Remember, everything that I'm kind of breaking down is from a day trade perspective. So that being said, a move over this price point here at $43 would certainly put this on radar, not just for us, but for a lot of other traders that are looking for NEO to make higher highs instead of lower highs on this downtrend. Plus, this is arguably a bull pennant pattern right there. Right, so lower highs, higher lows, all kind of being compressed. It's small, it's minor, I understand that, but it is shaping up. It does look like it's there to me. So a break over 43 is, kind of the move that we're looking for ideally, but I think that there's a trade possible prior to that. So if we're just looking at the resistance here on the 5-minute, I'm on the 5-day 5-minute chart time frame, by the way. If we're just looking at the intraday resistance points here, that's going to put it right at around 42.3 or 42.4. So the profit margin from that price point up to 43 offers a 1.5% move, which typically I look for 2%, but that is a possible trade in itself right there. So it's going to depend where NEO opens up at. If NEO opens up below these highs right here at 42 point, let's just say 42.4, if it opens up underneath that price point, this will likely be my trigger level for the run up to 43. However, if it opens up over these highs, then my trigger level will be moved up to 43. Because if it's opening up above this price point, then our profit margin's already being cut into, and we don't want to be faked out. The last thing we want to do is take a position here just to see, or up here over this price point, just to see us get rejected at 43 and come back down. Right, so a couple of different levels there to keep an eye out for. If you're a part of my Discord server, you don't have to worry about adjusting these levels pre-market. It's probably good for you to do that, but I'm gonna be winding up doing that in the morning anyways, and then putting out the adjusted levels on the watch list in the morning. So if you want to practice, go for it. But yeah, I'll have all of these levels adjusted probably 30 minutes before market open. Okay, so by the way, if you're just joining in, I'm talking about my top stock picks for tomorrow. I'm going to talk about some side charts, and of course, at the end of this stream, I'm going to give you guys all a chance to shout out some charts. We'll take some chart requests. So far, I've talked about Twitter, Airbnb, NEO, right? And what we're going to do is, if you have missed the live stream, the opening part of this live stream, you can watch it later on. So I don't want to go back and review those same stocks that we've already talked about, but it will be up for 24 hours for you to view later. Just an FYI. All right, the next one on the watch list will be AMD. So this is kind of a somewhat sympathy play with NVIDIA. In case you didn't know, NVIDIA's been ripping lately, just absolute monster, running into these all-time highs. There's split news on it, so I think a little bit of this run here recently on AMD is partially due to NVIDIA running. It's called a sympathy play. This to me looks like a bull flag pattern where you have a series of lower highs as well as lower lows being formed up. Again, like NEO, the pattern is very insignificant at this time because there's just not a lot of candles here, but it does look like that's what it's shaping up to be. So for AMD, what we're looking for is simply a new high to be made. That would probably give us a breakout of this bull flag pattern and then move back up to the top side. Sorry, I have to change this setting. I'm not sure why it keeps changing my time axis back. There we go. Much better. Okay, Yeah, so for AMD, what we're looking for is a break over $82. I'm not too worried about taking this long over this peak at 82.2. I think a move over 82 flat would work for us. And the only exception to this would be, like, obviously if it opens up above 82, we have to adjust that trigger. And in the case that it does, I might move it up to like 82.5 just to kind of compensate for this little bit of data back here. But yeah, I mean, my guess would be that if it opens up over 82 or 82.2, then it looks like it's ready to run anyways. All right, so long idea over 82 for the potential bull flag breakout on AMD. The next one on the watch list is ZM, Zoom Video. I have not put this on our list in a long time, pretty much since this run up right here. And that's because it's just been fading out this whole time. Has the bleeding stopped on this? I don't know, but it is starting to look somewhat enticing, and here's what I have for it. If I just drew a trend line from this dip right here, connecting that dip right there, all the way across the screen, you can see that this old support turned into new resistance and is once again resistance. We are back to trading right at that $340 resistance point. What's more is that this, to me, looks like what's known as a falling wedge pattern, which is bullish, right? There is a possibility that, and here's the thing about patterns, they're so subjective. I could really make this kind of look like it's breaking out already, right? So I can like tighten it up, make it look like it's breaking out. I can loosen it up, make it look like it's hasn't even broken out yet. You have to be careful when drawing diagonal trend lines like that. So that's why I'm only going to try to really focus here on the $340 horizontal level of resistance. That is very relevant, right? You see all this price action around this level where it had gotten rejected previously, where it acted as support right here. I think a break over 340 sends ZM up to 350 fairly easily. Right? It's a $10 move, and then above that up to 360, which is why I have an alert set right there. But we're going to take it one step at a time. Hasn't really done anything since earnings, and that's kind of the catalyst here. We literally saw this with NVIDIA, right? They reported earnings and then had like 2 days of not moving and moving sideways. And that whole entire time, AMD had been consolidating. And so this is how we were on this move right here. That's how we were able to catch that move with AMD. And so it's the same thing almost with Zoom, right? It's reported earnings, hasn't really made a move directionally yet until we see this big green candle here. So I'm looking for a breakout move and a continuation play. Well, it's kind of already broken out, but I'm looking for a continuation play from here. So it'll be a long idea over 340, price target of 350 in mind. All right, so quick review. Twitter, Airbnb, Neo, AMD, and Zoom, ZM, all making the main chart watch list. Let's talk about some side charts. While I'm doing that, feel free to post up in the chat section right there anything that you want me to review. I just ask that you don't post penny stocks and that you don't call out random stocks. Send me a stock, send a sentence or two explaining why you think it has potential, maybe a resistance point or a support point or a pattern, and let's talk about it. All right, it helps me understand to see what you're trying to put it on our radar for. This works great for us too, by the way. I love these chart review sessions with everybody because I mean, as one person, you're not going to find every setup that's out there. So yeah, let's talk about it. Sometimes you guys have really, really great setups for me. All right, side charts. Number one is Facebook. Very, very easy and simple analysis here. This is trading near the all-time highs. So all that we have to do is set an alert at the all-time highs, which is going to be $334, and wait. Either it breaks the all-time high and we get a new move, a new high and a big move topside, or it doesn't. And of course, there's the possibility that it breaks over the high and kind of rejects or grinds on the way up and there's no directional move. But typically speaking, a break of the all-time high is a very bullish sign for a stock. And if we get that with market backing, I think Facebook offers great potential to run. It's just one of those stocks, especially lately, that's been super hot with these moves. So we're looking for a move over $334 on Facebook. It's as simple as setting an alert and forgetting about it, right? And it may not even be tradable tomorrow. That's why this is a side chart. It may not even be something that sets up for tomorrow, but it could be something that sets up later on in the week. And that's pretty much going to be the case for all these side charts. The next one is PLUG. So this is forming a range on the daily chart time frame. Remember I said with a range you want to have at least 3 days where the support and resistance point has been validated as a true support and resistance point. So support's around $29. Resistance is clearly at $32. And we're trading sideways. There's no play here, in my opinion, until it breaks over $32. And if you're a short bias trader, maybe you want to take a look at taking a short position below 29. But again, as a long bias trader, I'm just waiting on a break of 32. So if we get a break to the top side from this range, looks good for a trade. All right, so set your alerts, forget about it, come back when that alert goes off. The next one on the side chart watch list is BYND. Massive move here off of the $100 price point up to $150. And if you're like, well, that's not massive, let's talk about percents here. We're looking at a 50% run. That is pretty massive for a stock. So yeah, nice move up, triple gap up, and I don't know if BYND is done here. I want to say that move is extended, but given the price action that it's had previously, BYND definitely still has potential to continue to go from here. I really like this consolidation. I like the fact that it is trying to cool off and basically build a base here for the next leg up. And all of that consolidation is occurring below the $150 whole number. So it makes it very simple for us to just set an alert at 150, wait for a breakover, and then decide it then at that point if we want to take a position on it or not. So BYND, set alerts at 150. We'll come back to this play if and when it breaks. All right, so that's all that I have really for my side charts. Facebook, PLUG, BYND. Facebook over 334, PLUG over 32, BYND over 150. I'm going to add more or maybe even take some off depending on tomorrow's moves, right? This is obviously not all the trades, my side charts that I'm watching for the week, but as of right now, it is. Depending on tomorrow's price action, I may or may not have other side charts that I add as well. That being said, thank you all for your time. I'm going to get into the side charts now, or the requested charts rather, that you've been mentioning. So let me go up here to the stream and let's talk about it. All right, Alex the Rookie is wanting to mention Tesla. So let's talk about Tesla here. He said he's bearish on Tesla for this upcoming week because it's been making lower highs and lower lows on the weekly chart time frame. Has an inverted cup and handle pattern. Micro focusing using the daily, it is holding the 200 EMA as a support, which is true. Looking for it to fail at that 200 EMA. If it rejects 600, which is a whole number, you see my resistance line drawn right there, and continue its downtrend. So you're looking for a possible short under 570 for the move down to 550. Your safer short entry is 550 to the lows. Okay, so let's talk about this. We're going to go to the weekly chart time frame. You're correct. It has been making lower highs on the weekly. As far as lower lows, though, I'm not so sure that I agree with the lower lows because this was the point where it broke out at, correct? Broke out, and pulled back. This low was held at this same low, which was also where this low was held. So I don't know that it's making lower lows. I feel like it's making the same lows. But that's not to say, I'm not saying that you're wrong here. So we're going to move into the daily chart time frame. It is trying to hold the 200 EMA as a support. This is a very pivotal point. I can't say that word. I guess I'm saying it wrong here. It's a very important. Let's just change it. It's an important point for this stock, because Tesla, if it fails to hold this support at 550, it has room to come down here to 500 very fast, right? That can happen really quickly. And the reason why is because just as fast as it ran up from 500 to 550, it can come down twice as fast. So if we're rejecting at 600, like you said, and we make a new low under the 570 price point, I think a price target of 550 is not out of question. And definitely a break below 550, I would be bearish down to 500. But here's the opposite side to that case. What happens if Tesla decides to reverse, right? What happens if it doesn't break below this 550 support and instead treats it as a support, or validates it as a support? Here's what we have shaping up. This pattern is known as a double bottom pattern, right? And it looks like a W. So this is your projected move if this price point down here does truly validate as a support. This wouldn't be the first time that you see something like this. This is known as a double bottom pattern, and it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It's only confirmed when the neckline here is broken, and that's exactly why I have a trend line right there. So this is something to definitely keep an eye on this week. This is a big price point for Tesla, and I don't think that $600 is the make or break for this. I think that $640 is probably the make or break, because if this breaks over 600 and pushes to 640, there's a chance that it breaks over and continues to run. And if that's the case, then I think that we can expect to see a larger move like this. However, if it rejects there, then this double bottom pattern is voided, right? It's no longer in play. So it'll be interesting to see what we do here, because if it rejects at that price point or even makes a lower high, then it kind of could look like what's known as a descending triangle. I've got a lot of lines here. But if it makes a lower high, then it'll start looking like that. And that's a descending triangle, which is in turn bearish. It's a bearish continuation pattern. So a lot of kind of, if-then scenarios going on here with Tesla. And that's really what trading boils down to. You've got to be ready to go either way. Having a bias on a stock is fine, but don't let that bias affect your trading. Right? Don't be so bearish on Tesla if it's obviously moving up, and definitely don't be bearish on it if it's breaking the neckline right here and making higher highs. Yeah, at some point you might have to flip your position, and I'm actually bullish on Tesla long term. So I can't see it breaking 550, but that's not to say that I wouldn't mind it, because if it did, I'd probably go buy some more shares, right? Who doesn't like cheap stocks? Anyways, thanks for bringing that up, Alex. Great breakdown there. Yeah, so that's some important points. Definitely have alerts set at 550. You see I have 2 set right there. I'm ready if it's coming down. Robert says, thanks for taking the time to do these streams. You're welcome. I have to do this analysis anyways, and I think it's a good way to bond with the community. So thanks for being here. Thanks for attending the streams. By the way, for those of you just joining in, we've already talked about my watch list for this week, and I'm just doing some charting requests. So I've talked about, for my watch list, Twitter, Airbnb, Neo, AMD, and Zoom. Side charts being Facebook, Plug, and BYND. If you missed that section of the stream is available for the next 24 hours on YouTube after I end this stream, so you can go watch it from the very, very beginning. And I don't do like a super long intro or anything, so I'm pretty much straight to the point, right? Okay. Kevin said BYND. We already broke that one down, so I'm not going to go over it again. Let's talk about SQ. Jasmine said SQ's got a catalyst, something about Bitcoin mining. Okay. If that catalyst is truly a factor for SQ, and it's something that the stock price will move on, then my opinion is that you're going to see that movement occur and happen pre-market. That's typically, if some news is released after hours or over the weekend, you'll see what's known as a gap up occur. Or obviously, if it's Bitcoin mining, that's a bullish or could be a bullish thing. It'd be a gap, but probably a gap up. And at that point, you'd be looking for two things: either a gap and go, what's known as a gap and go, or a gap fill, where it had gapped up so much that the price is a little overextended and it needs to reverse and come back down. So if you're expecting the stock to move on that news, and you're expecting a gap up, that means that doing technical analysis here is probably it's probably pointless, because a gap up could occur and something moving on fundamentals. I mean, that's always going to take precedence over the technicals. However, let's just base our analysis on what we see right here. There's your move up on higher volume, and it's looking like this support point down here at around 200 and the 200 EMA truly did validate as a support. So we were watching SQ as it was ranging right here for quite some time, and we're able to take a position over 210, right? And so it had ran all the way up to the 50 EMA, which at the time was our price target. So understanding that this is old resistance, it does make sense that this area would validate as new support, right? Old resistance can become new support. There is major resistance here on the daily chart right around this $200 price point. So if I just delete all of my other trend lines here, so you can see what's going on without regard to any of this outlier data where the stock has bounced below the $200 price point, the overall support is right here. So from a risk to reward, or from a risk to reward standpoint, like, you wouldn't be taking on a lot of risk here for the potential reward, because if 280 is the resistance, which it's hit that price point a couple of times previously, obviously you're looking at like a $70 reward for a $10 stop. And that's if you're swing trading something like this. I like the fact that it pushed up. I like that it rejected at the 200 or the 50 EMA. I like that it's pulled back to 210, had some sort of catalyst, right, with the news, and is validating this old resistance as new support. So from here, I would look for it to continue to hold 210. The only thing that has me a little bit concerned is that if you were to take it long over 220, which is the current resistance, you would be limiting yourself on profit margin up to like 225. However, that is a 2% move, and I did say that is usually what we're looking for. So I wouldn't feel comfortable, I don't think, unless this opened up near or closer to this high, right? So around maybe 218, 219, 220 for the move up to or near 225. But the most probably ideal scenario to look for going into this week is a break over 225 for the run up to 230 and beyond. I think if it breaks 225, it probably has a good chance to run to 240 fairly quickly. All right, let's talk about, somebody said Apple. Okay, you said Apple has an ascending triangle on the daily and then seems to be breaking the downtrend. So I'm going to be honest with you. I do not see... Okay, I was going to say I don't see the ascending triangle, but I think I might know what you're talking about. So if I were to draw a trend line here all the way across, and then this trend line here all the way up, I think that's what you're talking about, and that would be considered an ascending triangle. But it's not really relevant to where we're at right now, other than the fact that we're at support. Like as far as a day trade goes, we're not about to break this ascending triangle, because if we were, we'd be trading at 138 and not at 124. You know what I mean? So from a day trading standpoint, the triangle that I've just drawn out it's not relevant to us. Maybe if it was up here, it would be. So you said it's breaking the downtrend. The level over 126, continuation play from last week. Posted the chart in Discord. Okay. Apple was one of those ones, I feel super bad about this. It was one of the ones that I analyzed on Thursday, and I put it on the watch list. I put it out to the entire team that it was going to make the watch list for Friday. And then I switched it in the morning, and Apple made this awesome freaking move. And I totally missed it too, right? Look at this run. It was beautiful. Beautiful opening move. Nice breakout into the further higher day, and another nice breakout. I mean, it was just running pretty much all day long. And, it's all right, because it happens. You miss moves. I literally miss moves all the time. So I like Apple only under one condition. For me to take a trade on Apple, I have to have market backing. So whatever SPY is doing, or ES is doing, let's just look at /ES. Whatever this is doing, if I'm trading Apple, it's just one of those stocks that I have to have market backing on if I'm taking a position on it. Yes, Apple can move independently from the overall market. Yes, it is its own stock and can make its own choices, but it just for the most part really moves with SPY. And so here's the deal. Apple it looks great for a continuation play, but only if, in my opinion, we get a new high or a break of highs on /ES. And at the current moment, we're kind of rejecting the highs. We've been trading in this range right here for, going on like 2 weeks now, and it's been slightly annoying, to be honest, because it makes finding direction in the market pretty hard, which, as options day traders, like that's what we want, is direction. We don't want this choppiness and back and forth. We want to be trading during something like this, not necessarily something like this. So here's the deal. I'm explaining all of that to tell you this. ES is at the highs right now, and if we get that breakout move to the top side, I think a lot of the FANG stocks will follow suit, including Apple and including Facebook, right? Facebook will probably make a new all-time high and keep running. Apple, on the other hand, probably will run to 128 and get rejected again, just like it's done like 6 times most recently. So if you were to trade Apple as a continuation play, you need to watch out for the 50 EMA right at 127. You need to watch out for this resistance at 128. Over 128, I think you're homebound to 130. But just be careful that if you're looking for a continuation play, you need market backing, and there is resistance points literally right overhead, which could cut into your profit margins. All right, let's talk about, Nelson brought up DKNG. Let's talk about that one. So you said it's forming a bull pennant pattern on the daily. Yeah, a lot of these kind of growth stocks at the moment are doing the same thing. Right? So like PLTR, it's pushing up, bull pennant. Right? We talked about NEO, pushed up, bull pennant. DKNG, pushed up, bull pennant. So they're all kind of like running and moving in the same way. I see somebody literally mention PLTR. If one of them runs, there's a good chance that all of them run. This is interesting because it's trading right at the 200 EMA. So I would be looking for a break over that price point, but you can't say exactly, looking for a break over, whatever this is at right now, 50.5, because of this. It's done it before, and it's gotten rejected just overhead. So 51 and 52 are both levels of resistance. I think you would be okay taking a position over 51, just because this is where, like, without regard to that wick, this is where all of this price action is occurring below, and all of these daily candles are closing either right at or below the $51 price point. And so as long as it holds over 49 and trades under 51, it's almost forming a range right here. So you'd be looking for a break of probably 51 for the move up. I'm gonna skip PLTR because it is also just kind of the same thing that we talked about with NEO. Somebody mentioned CHPT. I've never looked at this before. I don't see, so you said it's a pennant on the daily. I don't see a pennant here on the daily, but what I do see is kind of a break of this like downward trend right there, right? This move that we're looking at right here. Okay, so I'm glad you brought this up, even though I don't see the pennant. This is almost exactly what we're looking for on our, let me pull this up, on our NEO trade. Do you see how this is making lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and then right here it's like we're about to make a higher high and get that confirmation run up? CHPT, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, until right here we got a break and we're making this is making like the first higher high. Do you see what I mean? So this could very well be the start of a longer uptrend. It looks like it's still trying to digest the earnings report, so I would just pay attention to that. But yeah, I mean, I've never even charted this before. Yeah, I don't see the pennant that you're talking about. But my next level of resistance overhead for this would be $30. I talk a lot about the whole numbers, and whole numbers being natural points of support and resistance, $50, $100, $150, etc. For a stock priced under $50, what is the whole numbers, or what are the whole numbers? $10, $20, $30, $40. Every $10 mark is a whole number for a stock priced this cheap. So $30 is going to be your likely level of resistance, and then above that, it's pretty clear it's 32, right? And then from there, you might be in for a larger move over 32 up to 36. But let's take it one step at a time. Yep, we already, so somebody mentioned DKNG. We already went over that one. Let's do two more. We'll do two more. BEEM and then FSLY. Yep, so almost like the same thing. What's up with these setups? Clearly on a downtrend, be looking for the break of the downtrend and higher highs to be made. What are you saying on this one? It looks like it broke the downtrend. Okay, yeah, so you recognize the downtrend there. That's good. It's good. It's great that you recognize the downtrend. That's kind of if you like reversal trading, that's like one of the first things that you should look for. You said it's forming an ascending triangle, ready to break higher, possibly to 35. So I don't know which time frames you guys are seeing these patterns on, but an ascending triangle is something that has a very clear line of resistance. Yes, it does make higher lows, but it has a flat top level of resistance that's hit multiple times. And so this is like an upward channel as opposed to an ascending triangle, right? That's kind of what that looks like. A proper ascending triangle would look something like this on Chewy, where you have a very defined level of resistance where it pushes up, comes down, pushes up, comes down, pushes up, comes down, right? And then is making higher lows during this whole time in this process. Apple is another good one that we just identified, right? Here's your resistance, 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 resistance without regard to the outlier data, and then higher lows all the way up. I believe at one point Amazon also, oh yeah, it was further back. Amazon was also forming an ascending triangle, but I don't see it on BEEM. I don't see it here because an ascending triangle doesn't make higher highs on the way up, right? It would be a flat level of resistance. All right, let's talk about the last one. You said FSLY. We'll go over that. Has a gap fill on the daily chart and range trading under the gap area. Yep, just set your alerts at 50. This is kind of strange because I have a tail here that's connecting to this, so it doesn't really look like a gap to me. But nonetheless, there is a lot of room for this to probably push and run back up top side to correct this move that it made on the way down. So I'm going to set an alert over $50, and we'll go from there. Let me look at the weekly chart time frame. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been one of those stocks that's beat up most recently. So all the way from 120 down to $40. That's pretty wild there. Yep, keep your alerts set over 50. That might be a decent swing trade actually, over 50 up to, maybe $55 or $60. Okay, guys and girls, thank you for your time tonight. It's a new week. It's a new month. Let's go out there and make some money, trade safe, trade smart, watch the overall market. We are at the all-time highs, so who knows where we go from here. If we break out and run, awesome. Otherwise, be looking out for a rejection. If we're rejecting on the overall market at the all-time highs, you may not want to be taking any long positions because a rejection at that price point can be fairly significant. So just something to be mindful of, something to keep an eye on. For everybody that's in the Discord server, we will be trading live this week, Tuesday and Thursday. So you don't have to ask me, hey, are we trading live? We are. That will be happening. That is a thing from now on. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can pretty much count on that every single week unless there is, either a short week or some sort of extended holiday or whatever, long weekend. That's pretty much going to be the new normal, right? So Tuesdays and Thursdays trading live. Keep an eye out for the watch list being posted in the morning. I will have the updated trigger levels for you. Again, thanks for your time. If you missed the stream, it's live for the next 24 hours, so you can go ahead and start it over and watch it from the very beginning. Thank you. Take care.